A blessed Friday to all co-presenters and participants of 2021 ASEAN University Network Business and Economics Virtual Conference. I am Dr. Jennifer Buendia Cabaron from Rizal Memorial State University, Dapitan City, Zamboanga del Norte. My co-authors are Dr. Melanie de Ocampo and Mr. Rene Argenal of University of San Carlos, Cebu City. Our research entitled Prediction Model of Sustainability Practices on the Financial Performance of Philippine Rural Banks. The Philippine rural banking industry is facing the opportunities and challenges of integrating sustainable banking practices in their operations to take part in the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, particularly the ASEAN banking industry. According to Yep and Boken, sustainable banking refers to delivering financial products and services that are developed to meet the needs of the people and safeguard the environment while generating profit. Companies now are expected to go beyond the narrow and short-term financial focus and expand on economic, environmental, and social sustainability. A meta-analysis review done by Al-Shishi, Nobani, and Carey revealed that an overwhelming positive relationship, 78% of 132 shortlisted publications from top-tier journals exist between corporate sustainability practices and financial performance. A similar positive relationship was established between sustainable operations practices and performance as determined by D. Agustini, Tondolo, Camargo dos Santos, Dolius, Tondolo, and Rosso in their meta-analysis of 37 articles expanding the relationship of practices to performance. The body of literature, though, around the subject is far from mature. While most reviews focus on a single or combination of two dimensions of sustainability, those that focus on all three dimensions are rare. Single dimensions reviews tend to be mostly about the environmental dimension and do not serve as comprehensive approach to all three dimensions of sustainability. The study examined the impact of sustainable banking practices and bank characteristics to financial performance. Specifically, the study measured the extent of the sustainable banking practices of selected rural banks operating in the Philippines in terms of economic, environmental, and social dimensions of sustainability. Measured financial performance using Camel's rating, the study raised the questions of whether sustainable banking practices and bank characteristics can predict financial performance. For its theoretical framework, the study made use of an integrated framework comprised of the banking business model for sustainability, the stakeholders theory, the natural resource-based theory, and the financial management theory, specifically the Camel's model. This study utilized a quantitative approach in determining the strength of the predictive relationship of the dimensions of sustainable banking practices to financial performance. A modified questionnaire was utilized to conduct the successful survey of 80 rural banks in the Philippines which published their financial statements. For the economic and social sustainability practices, the indicators and measurement scales used were those of Baumgartner and Ebner, and while for environmental sustainability, the indicators and respective measurement scales utilized were those of John Marimoto, Bin Mode, and Isa. The instrument was pretested to 12 banking institutions with the same characteristics as the target population of the study. The pretest yielded a Cronbach alpha value of 0.85, which met the minimum reliability score of at least 0.70. Aside from primary data, the study utilized secondary data retrieved from the website of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. The balance sheets of 80 rural banks publicly published as of March 31, 2019 were accessed. The purposive sampling method was utilized to select 121 rural banks in the Philippines which publicly published their balance sheet as of March 31, 2019, and the research participants of this investigation were determined using the sample size to estimate the average. If rural banks would not agree to participate in the study, at least 70% to 80% was the target sample size, or N equals 80. Thus, a total of 80 rural banks currently operating in the Philippines participated in the study. The extent of practice on the dimensions of sustainability, such as economic, environmental, and social, used the mean and standard deviation and correlation analysis. The relationship between sustainable banking practices and financial performance employed a multiple regression analysis. Table 1 presents the regression coefficients for characteristics of rural banks, sustainable banking practices, and financial performance, the CAMELS. The effects of other banks' characteristics show that only the bank's capital and loan portfolios are found to be predictors of their financial performance, P equals 0.064 and P equals 0.069. This implies that the bank's capital and loan portfolio contribute to its financial performance. It should also be noted that of the three sustainability variables, only environmental practices are correlated with the bank's financial performance. In effect, it is the only factor contributing to the financial statement of the rural banks in the country, P equals 0.028. With a model fit of 15.70%, the bank's capital, loan portfolio, and environmental practices can predict its financial performance by approximately 15.70% or 16%. In other words, the three factors, the capital, loan portfolio, and the bank's environmental practices, contributed only 16% of its financial performance. The remaining 84% may be due to other factors. For bank's capital, the coefficient of 0.22 means that for every increase in the bank's capital, financial performance increases by an average of 0.22. For banks' loan portfolios, this can also be observed from the beta coefficient of negative 0.14. It implies that any increase in rural banks' loan portfolios will decrease by 0.14 of their financial performance. Likewise, for every reduction in the bank's loan portfolio, financial performance increases by an average of 0.14. The coefficient of 0.10 means that for every increase in the bank's environmental practices, an average of 0.10 increases its financial performance. The result shows that the environmental practices as the independent variable and financial performance are statistically significant. Thus, results reject the hypothesis that there is no significant relationship between sustainable environmental banking practices and financial performance. While the other two dimensions of sustainability, the economic and social sustainability practices, were practiced by Philippine rural banks, they do not appear as yet to significantly contribute to financial performance. In the same token, asset and deposit size do not significantly contribute to financial performance. Implications to sustainability initiatives or rural banks can be drawn from the study as well as areas for further research. The regression model implies that the financial performance of the rural bank is influenced by its environmental practices and the bank's two characteristics, namely its capital and loan portfolio. Although the statistical significance is at 90% confidence level, this is a significant result of these researchers. The bank's capital and loan portfolio are major characteristics of a bank in terms of banks having sufficient capital to be offered as loans for clients. It can be concluded from the findings of the study that environmental sustainability practices, capital, and loan portfolio significantly affect the financial performance of rural banks. for the rural banks to ensure that they have sufficient capital for their loan services and to manage their loan portfolio well to prevent non-performing portfolios from affecting the bank's financial performance. For future research, researchers to delve deeper into the reasons why social and economic banking practices do not significantly affect financial performance of rural banks in the Philippines by conducting replication studies in other ASEAN countries. This is the end of my presentation, and thank you for listening.